All right, welcome ladies and gentlemen to week number 75. My name is Mr. McLogan and I am here to answer your questions and congratulate you on a year well done. We are at the end, or at least we should be, or very, very close, hopefully for many of you. It is getting ready for the summer to close out some things. We actually have one more day. Tomorrow is my last official day of the year. Students finished last week. And then us teachers are now just going back into the classroom. But I wanted to let you guys know of some different channels I am going to add. And let's see if he got to those. He did not. So I'll go ahead and add some definitely links into this chat for you guys of some new channels that I came up with. And actually, I don't actually have them prepared. I was running a little bit behind for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop those up. And also let me go ahead and check in the chat. Let me pop out that chat, so I can say hello to all of you that have joined in for tonight. I thank you so much. I appreciate you guys joining on. Let you know these channels. I will eventually get these all set up. I'm very excited about this. But I see you, Melinda. I see Vince. I see Justin and Brandon and Gallet and Ray and Amelia and Miley. Hello, hello. And it's good to see you guys on, especially, finishing off the year. And it's like, hey, and like my brain, the way my brain works exactly, it's like, all right, we close, it's really, it starts to shut down like actually in like April. Once testing season starts, I'm just like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do anything. But literally once June kind of comes in, I just get like excited and ready to be like, all right, it's time to start preparing, start getting my stuff ready to go. And then July kind of is like, oh no, I actually want to enjoy some of the summer. And then August, it's like getting nervous again. And then here comes the summer and here comes school year, right? So, but I definitely, one of the things that from this year that I mentioned in my live stream was one of the things that came up from this year was, since we were wearing masks in school, I just wasn't able to teach. And I wasn't able to teach. I wasn't able to record a lot of my videos as I was teaching. So what I decided I wanted to do was like, I really enjoy just teaching students how to do problems. I really enjoy making videos. But I think a lot of times when everything's under my channel, which I have over 12,000 videos, I think on my main channel, it kind of gets a little overwhelming. And obviously I have things in playlists, but still it's a lot. So what I've wanted to do, and I've just never really had the time or the capacity to do it, is to create some more channels. And for those of you that were on the let's actually go ahead and check. Did I add, for those of you that were on the community post that I posted today, I asked you guys what kind of channel would you like me to do? And I'll let you guys know what channels I've already kind of added on. And I do plan on making more. So don't worry if you feel like there's a channel that you're like, oh, I'd really want you to, make a specific channel on this. Like, bear with me. I'm working on a lot of content. One of the things that's always hard, Mayweather, definitely not even close. I don't believe it. Actually, although I didn't see I guess they did have some like some kind of adjustments in on that. But yeah, they're, I think just, squared up Mayweather, for sure on there. What was I looking for? I'm just kind of going to do. Oh yeah. So one of the things I was looking for, specific comments, 63% said, longer form content. And, we're kind of just like wanting stuff on like, hey, if you're looking at Algebra 1 stuff, go to Algebra 1. If you're looking at Algebra 2, like go to Algebra 2 stuff, right? Rather than like my channel, which obviously go to my playlist, but I can't tell you how many times students are asking me like, hey, do you make videos on Algebra 2? Or like, hey, do you make AP Calculus videos? I'm like, yes, I have a ton of videos. Like everything's organized in the playlist, or at least semi in the playlist. But when you have so many videos, it just becomes a lot. And what I want to do is obviously this main channel is growing very much. So what I would like to do is just kind of still be making videos on this channel, but also when I'm trying to get more specific into like certain content areas, then to kind of use the other channels for on that. So if you are taking a certain course, or if you have a friend that is going to be taking some of those courses, just to let you guys know, I will be still making videos on here. The videos on this channel is probably going to be just like what it was this year. So there's still going to be math content. It's still going to be teaching the exact same kind of stuff. But it's not, it's not going to be every day like it has been in years prior. But for my other channels, I just plan on posting a lot of my content that I have. Like I enjoy making videos. I mean, I make a lot of videos, and it's really easy, long form or short form. Like when I'm teaching, and I'm not worried about, coming up with certain things. I can just teach, and I can just have fun with that. And that's what I enjoy doing. So over the summer, I will be creating a lot of content, and I'm going to start with these channels right now. Don't get upset with me, or don't be mad if I don't have a course that you are looking for. This is just what is very easy for me right now to replicate. So therefore, I'm going to stick with these. But these are all going to take you to the subscribe, obviously, because I want you to subscribe. But it's, again, if it ends up being a course that you end up not taking, or if you're not willing to follow, I hope you still join me on this main channel. But these are going to be more course specific. So feel free to add in on any of one of these. No, it was too much. That's crap. All right, so let's break this up. What the heck? Algebra 2 college. Oh, okay. All right, so let's do these. Let's do these first. Sorry. And the other reason why I thought this was like nice is because when you guys have questions, all right, I'm going to do these, and this is really annoying. All right, so I can only do 200. All right, fine. Well, let's do, here is the calculus one. I don't think I have any content for it right now, but don't worry, I will. There you go. We'll just do these one at a time, ladies and gentlemen. So, sorry, annoying. But for those of you that have questions or have gone to the Discord server, then this is also where you guys can go ahead and I want to make sure that we have also these channels also will be something where you guys can also have links to easily kind of connect to those, because the Discord is broken up into content areas, and it just kind of makes sense to have YouTube broken up into content areas as well. So therefore, everybody's not just like always trying to search and find stuff. And again, like my normal playlists that I've created over the years are going to remain on this channel. That's not going anywhere. So if you kind of already know where to go and what you're looking for on my channel, then no worries. No need to move over any of the stuff. But I'm just going to add these links in the chat for all of you. And I see a lot of you guys have questions. All right. Boom. So yeah, you're like, whoa, Mr. McLogan, what's up? You know, a lot of playlists, and I'm very, very excited about it, because it's just gonna be fun. It's gonna allow me to do something more, to step out a little bit more in my comfort zone. It's a lot more channels, to manage and upload stuff, but obviously I think it's going to be fun, something to change up this year, because I've basically been doing the exact same thing for many, many years. So this is a good opportunity for me to adjust things. Okay. So I definitely wanted to let you guys know all about that. And then I only have a couple more questions for this, and I only have a couple questions for tonight, so I will definitely just kind of take any other general questions you guys do have. I did also want to let you guys know of a couple other things that are coming up for tonight, or sorry, this week. The couple cool announcements that I have. First of all, coming for this week, we have the I will be posting a different style of video that I have, which is going to be kind of like a graduation kind of commencement speech video, which I'm definitely excited for. And then the other video is, or not the other video, and then the other thing is also be posting a link as far as people that are interested in tutoring opportunities. So that's another thing that I'm going to be working on growing out from my YouTube channel, is kind of just something from the Discord, kind of like one of those, like, if when you guys want, like, the easiest way to ask help, obviously my channel is to, submit questions on my open live Q&A, because throughout the year, I'm always Sunday night, 9 p.m., I'm always answering questions. And I've seen some of you guys have, submitted some questions already, and I might be able to take some open questions from the chat, because I only have a couple questions tonight. But then the other thing that you guys can do is go to the Discord channel. Now, I did take the link for my open live for the Q&A, as well as for the Discord, and that is pinned on the chat. So you guys can definitely go and check those out. But then I know that some students still they want more, they need more. And also I'll be using my course again this year for pre-calculus. And I know students also want that a little bit additional elements. So if you are interested in being a tutor in some capacity, then just go and look up for the information I will have coming out this week. And therefore you guys can kind of follow along with that. So hopefully that'll be helpful for you guys and something you guys will be excited about. So let's go. Felipe complex analysis. No, maybe Wednesday. I mean, one of the things I got to do is I'm really looking forward to expanding my math, and adding some more channels, some other math that, I haven't maybe taught, I mean, I've been stuck teaching pre-calculus, and this year was really nice actually teaching geometry and algebra 2, because I was able to expand some different content areas that I haven't taught in a really long time. So it was really helpful as a teacher to be able to do that. And that's another thing I really like to do is continue teaching more and more content that, some stuff I haven't taken since high school. Can you do discrete math as well? Yes, I definitely would say that, Ray. Right now, a lot of students ask for discrete math questions, and it's just not something I regularly teach. There's not a lot of discrete math that I'm teaching. So unless it's something that I'm very comfortable and familiar with, I don't really want to cover it on live stream, just, and not really provided great explanation. But on a separate channel, that's definitely something I can do. And again, yes, matrices as well. That's not something that I teach. Or matrices, yeah, that's not something I teach, but it's definitely something I can create some more content on. Timothy, yeah, do I teach calculus? Not this year, not sure about next year, but as far as regarding teaching calculus, what was I going to say? Yeah, on my channel, I have links for the calculus as well. Addie, I do have I'll definitely segment, but yeah, I mean, I do have the pre-algebra course. I thought I'd link an add-on to there. Abstract algebra, that would be awesome. Hopefully I'll be able to get back into my advanced mathematics going from there. But yeah, I think that would be, that's definitely something I would like to go on from there. I can't pull this. I can just encourage people to go subscribe to my Well, thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, unfortunately. So I will be taking these links on my channel, and I will be adding them as other channels that you guys can go ahead and check out. These are all going to be the links to go ahead and subscribe, to. But you guys can definitely go check the links. Most of these do not have any content for them, so I'm just trying to get the word out, so then when people do see them, they're kind of recognize where this is coming from. Anna, why do you keep 7 through 12? I'm not familiar with the 7 through 12 Texas content exam, but I'm happy to add stuff to it, but I am not familiar with that exam. That's not something I currently teach from. My 4 days is calculus only limits and differentiation. Do you think I have a good time? Yes. You can definitely, I think you're just doing only limits and differentiation, then yeah, 40 days, definitely easy enough. Not sure how much further depth you go with those, but I think that would be fine. So you could make the hardest math. Yeah, that's definitely something I could work on. I do plan on getting back a little bit more with the limits and going from there. Sarah asks, I'm a fellow math teacher and love Archie Newville. Thank you very much, and congratulations on getting through this year. Do you offer students a retest? You mentioned that your students do corrections. Do you award value for them? Yes. Thank you, Sarah. This is actually another live stream. I think I've wanted to do one of these, kind of talk about how I've graded things. And the funny thing is, Sarah, is I think every year I'm always adjusting how I want things to be, how I feel like is a fair way to assess students with their understanding. So and it seems like every year I'm always offering more and more points, more and more values. But so what I have, what I did this year and last year was students were allowed to retake their tests and do their corrections, because I always wanted students to retake their tests and corrections. So I allowed them that opportunity, and I would only give them, though, because those are all multiple choice. And again, I always hated, assessing students just on a multiple choice test or having that such a high percentage of their grade, which it was. But so I did allow them to do that. But I believe for making those corrections, they were only awarded like 1/3 of a point. I think 1/3 of a point. Yeah. So I did allow that for test, and it could be for any student. It didn't matter if you got one question wrong or all the questions wrong. You could do your test corrections. For quizzes, I allowed them to do their corrections, but rather than actually giving them the points, because the quizzes I was hoping students would be learning from and improving, rather than doing that, I would just drop the grade. So as long as they did better, I wouldn't just drop the grade. I would allow them to do their corrections, and as long as they did better on their test than they did on their quiz, then I would drop the grade. So that's the way that I kind of always felt it was fair. Again, some students will always just kind of play the game, and they'll do the corrections for the quizzes always had to be done before the test. The test corrections always had to be done before the end of the quarter, and it's kind of worked everything like that. But, I like that system. I did that for a couple years, and I was actually thinking about a new system this year or coming up for next year. And I'm not sure if it's a little bit more out there. So, but I'm not sure if I'd really want to implement it. I could, I don't know. I haven't really evaluated, but I guess I haven't gone through far. So I was like, I can tell you guys, but I'm like, get your question. But I'm like, I haven't even thought through it. I guess I'll just tell you now that I've opened, now I've like intrigued your interest. So my other thing was I was thinking, because a lot of students will play that game, right? And then what happens is they do their corrections. So I dropped all their quizzes, right? And then they do all their test corrections, so like if let's say they got C's on their test, well, with corrections, maybe they get to B's, right? Whatever, it depends on where they got. But let's just pretend here's a student got 2 C's, right? And then they get B's. But then also maybe let's say they failed other quizzes, right? But so that drops them. So then they have like a B, and then they do whatever work that I asked them to do, right? And then, they're trying to get an A. That's like their main goal. And, one of the problems, a lot of times it would be hard to justify the A depending on how the work and everything graded was. But, because if they're really getting C's and, on the assessments and, maybe they're doing their work and so on and so forth. Like I said, this is just a very arbitrary example or very hypothetical. But one of the things I was looking into doing was like having students, basically, as long as you're doing your work, like you will pass, like basically, as long as you're doing what I needed you to do. I can't remember how I phrased it or I thought about this, but basically it's like do the work and you basically get a C out of the class. If you want higher than a C, then you have to test higher than a C. And that was kind of like how I was kind of thinking, because I got so frustrated with students that would do everything I asked them to do, but then it wasn't good enough. Like, they did all the corrections and they're like, but I need an A. And I'm like, well, you can only go so far. There has to be this, and then they're trying to like do all this makeup work and all like anything they needed to do. And I'm like, there has to be a limit. There has to be a point, where we kind of define students. And again, it's tough as a teacher, I think, to properly always assess, for every student, because every student is different and each situation is kind of different. But so one of those things I was thinking of, like, hey, if you do what I ask you to do, like basically that's going to give you a C. Like, if you don't do what I do and you test a D, then hey, you got a D. Or if you don't do the work and you test an F, then hey, you failed, right? But if you do what I ask you to do and, then you test, basically below, but yeah, it's right around a C level. But if you want to test into a B or an A, because the thing that strikes me with a lot of students teaching pre-calc, and this is again for pre-calculus, I wouldn't say for my other courses. And the reason why this was an issue is because so many students were very upset they didn't get B's or they didn't get A's in my class. And, I had to let them know, like in pre-calculus, we're expecting my A and B students, you're going into calculus the next, like that is the expectation, and the students were just playing the game for an A or B for GPA. They didn't care to expand or go into, calculus or anything else. They're just playing whatever they needed to get the grade, which I understand, right? I'm not against it because I can definitely relate to the current climate. So I totally understand that point, or what the students were trying to achieve, but as far as like a trying to have something that's a justifiable grade from a teacher's perspective, I want to make sure that, when students are leaving my classroom with an A or B, that they're going to be successful in the next level. And again, it doesn't have to be calculus the next year, but it could be whatever there. I always thought when there's a grade that's assigned from McLogan that you got this grade in my class, like that should mean something, and I always ask students, I didn't this year because this was a bad year. A bad year meaning I didn't really, teaching wasn't really teaching, learning, everything was thrown off. But, I always ask students, at the end of the year, like, do you feel like your grade was justified? Do you feel like you earned the grade that you got? And really that's one of the most important questions that I always like to read. It's not, I do like saying, how could I improve? And, what did you like? What did you not like? But really the one thing that really means almost the most to me is like, do you feel like you earned your grade? What you got. And again, when students fail and they're like, hey, I got that F, or when a student's got an A, like I worked really hard for this. Or, I know what I'm doing. I got an A, or I got an F. I don't know what I'm doing, but I tried. Like that really means a lot when students feel that they weren't like cheated out of their grade from there. Sorry, I just went on a complete tangent for you, Sarah. So, but thank you for your question. You got me going, but it was good. 2 math tests, some questions I can't know how to help. Hey, teacher, I want to do math tests, but some questions I can't do. How you can help? Well, sometimes you got to go back to things. If you are taking a test and you don't know how to do it, stop, skip it, come back to it later. Sometimes that's your brain just works in those kind of mysterious kind of ways where you just need a little time to let things simmer and then come back to them for sure. Good job, Dustin. Awesome. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that, Sarah, too. Timothy, that was true, though, Mr. McLogan. Thank you. Tangent opposite over adjacent. Well, hello, Oscar from Illinois. They should make a pre-calculus, too. Yeah, it's not a bad option for as well, because a lot of students, it's going to be interesting. I think this next year is going to be really interesting. I feel like my students, we got some pretty good instruction, at least for pre-calculus, just because I've been teaching it for so long. I kind of feel like it's my bread and butter. But, Algebra 2, I hadn't taught in a very long time. And, it was tough. A lot of students were kind of a little bit ill prepared for the course. And then it was difficult trying to really, work with them and get them in when I didn't have the resources like I have when I, currently been teaching the course so often. And then the same thing with geometry. I hadn't taught geometry in 10 years. So that took a lot of time and effort to kind of get those kids through all of that. Ray Math, I think it's pretty funny, yes. HSM, I love your videos. Well, thank you so much. You are very welcome. Yeah, well, hey, you know what? Congrats to your pre-calculus teacher, because you know what? They probably, probably the reason why calculus was so hard is because you probably got definitely pushed in your calculus course. That's one of the things too that I want, students, it's a tough thing when students come sometimes to pre-calculus when they've never been pushed, or not even pre-calculus, but any math class, when you've never been pushed and you have to deal with adversity, it's tough and it's hard. And it's a lot of times students don't want to do it, especially when students have been always getting A's and B's in their classes, right? They've always understood things. They've always been in like the smart table or whatever, analogy you want to bring in, or they're, all their friends are always doing good and always understanding the work. Their parents always never expect a B or a C or whatever may be the case. And then they get to the course and it's like, oh crap, I'm struggling. I don't know how to do this stuff. Right. And it's tough. And I know a lot of students, they much rather than like face it, they just clam up and say, I'm just going to kind of avoid this and hope this doesn't I can just get by, or, whatever may be the case. Or, cuss out Mr. McLogan, whatever. But yeah, it's tough. I totally get it. I've been there before, and that's, but one of the things that I feel is also really important is, getting students when they come to my class, like I want them to be challenged. I want them to overcome that adversity. I think that's really important. And that's another thing I'd say that I really cherish is when those students, like the students that did struggle, the students that tried to get out of my class, like I don't like him. I don't like this course. It's too hard. It's like, I don't understand his teaching or whatever may be the case. Right. But then they stay with it and then they are successful. And I think that is what it's all about. And then they get to, I've had tons of students. Then they go into calculus and they're like, oh, this stuff's easy. I can handle this. I know what I'm doing. And, it's kind of like one of those things I'm like, yeah, because you know what? You kind of went through the rough rigor with me. Like you learned how to, when you didn't understand things or you understood how to put in the work, right? Because a lot of times students will just breeze through the class, breeze through algebra, breeze through whatever. And then it's like, oh crap, I just got to a course. Now I got to work for it. And once you learn those skills, once you learn those techniques, it's not as bad, But yeah, sometimes it's a tough lesson to learn. Did you learn that? Awesome, very good. Oh, geez. Owen says, do you think how much should students going into college next year study over the summer? It's all relative to how you feel, how this year was. I think that, and what you're doing for next year. So I think I'm a big proponent of not doing a lot of work over the summer, even though I will be offering some math content for you guys, and some math courses, like a free math course to get prepared for pre-calculus. Because, a lot of some students need that and they want that. And I want to make sure that I have that prepared, but I'm also a big proponent of, kind of working hard, playing hard, and enjoying your time in the summer. I think the brain is a wonderful, beautiful thing that when you can do something else and not try to focus on always doing schoolwork, you're just going to be better, well-rounded, and put in that better effort throughout the year. And that's just the way that I see things. I don't think there's this there needs to be this huge push for students to have to relearn everything that they missed, throughout the year. And actually, to be honest with you, like, that might be even better, because it's like, we're going to have to prioritize. And a lot of the stuff that we teach students in our math is not really as necessary, as it once was. I think that, obviously if you're planning on getting like, a math degree, or you're going into a field in college that is going to be very math heavy, well, if you're, if you didn't learn a lot, or that you struggled, like, yeah, you're gonna have to put in the work. There's no way to get around that. Like, you should definitely probably have a lot of work in the summertime, but if you're just, if you feel semi, with the year, like, I think there's always a good benefit of always just doing some review and like keeping the current with the material, not like throwing everything in a bonfire and like saying, oh, I'll wait till next year. But also just giving your mind a break, I think, is very, very important for the learning process. I don't know why other things. What is your recommendation for taking a test when the teacher has no tolerance for notes or calculator? What was your recommendation for taking a test? I am not really sure about that. So what is your new channel for? Great question, Seth. Actually, you know what I should do? Why don't I post those in the links in the playlist or in my description? That would have been the smart thing to do, Mr. McLogan. Oh, jeez. Come on, amateur. All right, so if you are interested in any of these, why is it not doing? Okay, there. If you're interested in any of the new channels, I'll put them in the description below. Hey, why is that showing up? There we go. Sweet. All right, so now they're all in the descriptions for you guys. So go ahead and check them out. I'll be adding to them, guys, throughout the summer. And I'll also be having some new stuff coming in this week. I have things with the kids in my household is hopefully starting to wind down here a little bit. So I am looking forward to getting back a little bit more, getting some more content pumped around. But it's been pretty hectic finishing off the school year the way that it has been, and then having a kid, an extra kid to also take care of, in addition to my other two little ones that constantly need to be entertained. I was not aged since 2009. Well, thank you very much, Bianca. And the funny thing, well, actually, never mind. Another video I have coming up, you'll actually see in the same video my nice little aging process. So that'll be that's a good one. It's looking forward to that one being ready. All right. Thanks, Eddie. So I get a 0 with the lowest grade. I do not know. All right. My favorite thing I learned in pre-college is probably compound interest. I definitely agree. Definitely agree. That is one of my favorite different types of content that I like to teach, or content, or lessons. All right. So I did have a couple questions that were submitted, and I'm sorry, guys, I was a little busy for today, so I did not get to posting those inside of this. That's why you can see this has just been blank this whole time, which I kind of apologize. Maybe you guys got me some questions. I'll go and add those in there. All right. So I will take one of these questions on. I will put them in there. And let's go and get some math done. And then there were some questions that were also submitted, but I was not able, like I said, I had minimal time today for you guys. So, or minimal time to prep. So basically I looked at it, I'm like, if I don't really feel like I have a strong explanation or thought process for this, I was like, I just got to move on to the next one. So let's go and get to some math. And then obviously if you guys do have some questions, once I'm done with these, I will definitely hang out with you guys for a little bit and be happy to answer any of the additional questions I can. Okay. So in the first example here, we have solve for u. So in this case, I'm going to factor out the u. Okay. So we have a product equal to 0. So we can't use our inverse operations, but what we are going to do is want to factor out a u. And what that is going to do is that is going to set us up as a product equal to 0. And now that we have why is that not showing up? Is it not showing up for you guys? Oh, crap. Dang it. Why does that happen? Sorry, no wonder you guys couldn't see anything. That was kind of weird. There you go. Okay. All right. So week number 75, new channels. So in this one, what we're going to do is just the 0 product property. So we can set u is equal to 0 and u plus 19 is equal to 0. Okay. And then we'll just subtract 19 on both sides. U is already equal to 0, and then for u is equal to a negative 19. So in this case, we have u is equal to 0 or u is equal to a negative 19. Ow, sorry. Bit by a fly. All right, so we got that one done. Let's see. This question, so some of you guys did add some questions on here because I think I only had these 2 that I selected. Okay, if cosine is negative 3/4 and theta is in the third quadrant, then the sine is. All right, so what we're going to do is want to draw a triangle. Come on, there you go. Okay, so we're going to be in the third quadrant, which is down here. All right, we're going to have negative 3/4. So again, remember this is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so therefore it's going to look something like this. And we'll put here is our angle. That should be a theta here or something. Or yeah, I'll use theta, and therefore that'd be negative 3/4. So now we got to figure out what this is. Well, that's a Pythagorean triple, so therefore that's going to be 5. Since it's going down, it's going to be a negative. So therefore sine is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, which will be a negative 5/4. Bam. There we go. All right, and then let's see what else you guys got. No, I don't want to, it's been a while since I've taught induction, so I'm not ready and prepared for that. You can't figure out this one. I can't, so that's okay. Don't need to be challenged. It's going to take too much work to even look at what the heck their question is, so we'll just skip that one. Sorry. So these, let me see if I can see that. How to graph if it does not exist, so the limit as x approaches -6. Okay, well, I'll answer this one. Don't cover many limit questions, but this one is fairly straightforward. So we'll add this one to the list. Okay, so this one is evaluating the limit, and they gave us the graph here. And again, we're approaching, this is the general limit as x approaches -6. So when evaluating the general limit, we want to see what is the value of the function as the as x is approaching -6 from the left and from the right. So we can see here from the left, here, right, as we're driving on this function from the left, we're approaching -1, right? But from the right, you guys can see we're on 1. So here it's 1, here it's -1. So as we're approaching -6, we're not approaching a finite number. So therefore, this answer does not exist. The limit does not exist. All right. I usually don't get to the questions that usually students submit like during the live stream because usually I have enough. So it's cool. I always like to usually get to 5. So we'll see what you guys come up with. All right. So another limit question. All right. You got 2 of them. Good for you. All right. Well, this one is a little bit different. Looks like you have to plug in your numbers, but so use your numbers to go ahead and plug that in. But I'll tell you what the answer is if I remember it correctly. If I remember the rules correctly. Okay, so complete the table. So that's going to be up to you. You're going to have to go and complete the table. But evaluate the limit. So this graph, I just know if I remember the graph correctly. This graph, that the sine of x over x, okay, as you're approaching that, as the limit, as x approaches 0, that value is equal to 1. Or that limit, I'm sorry, is equal to 1. All right. So when you have this basically multiplied by 6, what you can do is you can kind of group that to be 1, and then you're multiplying by 6. So if 1, 2, 3, 4, if I am correct, the graph looks something like that. And if I'm not, then you could say, hey, you drew the wrong graph. It's not, but I'm pretty sure that's the correct answer. All right. So that was, I guess, no, yep, that was it. Sweet. Covered those questions for you. Let's see what else you guys got in the chat for me. Timothy, it's summertime. Yeah, man. Well, math is never going to stop, man. People are always going to be needing questions for your math. What are you thinking, Milk? Would you be able to go for the intermediate value theorem? No, I would not be able to go over the intermediate value theorem soon, though. I just need to brush up and review it. And, I just need a little bit more time. And that's the thing, guys, when I get to these, like, I'm just going off of what I have, and I'm not a math genius. I've just been teach a lot, and I've been a teacher for a while, but I taught the IVT. I just need to, I taught a lot of things, and there's a lot of things I haven't taught, but maybe I covered when I was a student. But yeah, so it's always, a lot of students, a lot of the questions, especially like at the beginning of the year, man, I get so many questions. And like my brain is just, I'm sorry, tired, yawning, bouncing all over the place, trying to get all that stuff done or trying to remember so much things. You're a math teacher. Well, thank you very much. I'm sorry for triggering out a final exam. Your video helped me. Well, good luck on your exam, Mr. Game Relax. You got this. Sine is something in geometry. Yes, sine is the comparison of the opposite side to the hypotenuse based on a given angle. Can you explain the floor function? I do not remember the floor function, so it's something I'd have to look up again. Take my name. I don't know how to take your name. Geometry means for arithmetic sequences. Again, something I'd have to go back up for the geometry means and arithmetic sequences. Well, thank you very much, Peter. I greatly appreciate it. What is 9 plus 10? I can do that. That is going to be 19. I started learning trigonometry. Do you have any videos on your YouTube channel? I have a ton of videos on trigonometry on my YouTube channel. You can always go ahead and find all my videos under my playlists. And then also, if you wanted to subscribe to the new channels that I have, I will have one that is for pre-calculus / trigonometry that you can definitely go and take up as well. Can you do a tan arc cosine of u? Yes, again, do you have an angle or try a value for the u? A little bit more further. I guess just of u. I guess I could probably do that. I think, right? U over 1. Arc cosine of u. Yeah, okay. I think I can do that. I think you wrote everything correctly that I need. Let's do that as my 5th question. Okay. So, basically what we need to do is this has the arc cosine of u. Now, again, remember, when we're trying to find like the arc cosine, we're trying to find what the angle is. Now, we don't know what the angle is, right? But we have u. Now, if we were going to look at this triangle, we could say, if we're looking for this angle, let's call this angle x, okay? The cosine is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. Well, technically, you could say this is really u over 1, right? So basically what this question is asking us is, can you find the tangent of x? All right, so if this is u and this is 1, what is going to be this sine like? Because remember, tangent is this y over x, right? So let's call this, I don't know, y. All right, so we know that u squared plus y squared is equal to 1 squared, right? Now, again, we want to find y. So what we're going to do is we are going to subtract a u squared. We have y squared equals 1 minus u squared, right? Because 1 squared is 1. And then we have the square root. Now, obviously, we don't have any like quadrants or anything, so we're going to just use the positive. So y equals 1 minus u squared. So we can just replace that. Oops. So I can say y, or we could say square root of 1 minus u squared, right? Either one, they're replaceable. So then if I want to find the tangent of this angle x, right, then I would say that's going to be the opposite over adjacent. So that is going to equal a 1 minus a u squared all over u. And voila, there you go. Hopefully that was helpful for you, Joey. Oh, I'm gonna get tired now. All right, now you guys are bringing some questions. Andre, fx is 3x minus 2/5 domain. What is the range? That has, well, so that's a lot to be able to do. I'm not going to do, all you got to do, Andre, they're not nice. You're 3x minus 2/5. That's, I mean, basically all you got to do for each of these. So I'll do one of them for you. Cause there's something wrong with that, or not, I'm not sure wrong, but it's like, that's a lot of fraction practice. If that's the way that's written, or maybe everything's divided by 5. That has to be it. Cause otherwise I'm like, why would your teacher want you to do all of that work? I'm assuming that's your answer. Hopefully, please tell me. So the domain is going to be a -6, -1, 4, 9, 19. Right? So basically, all you're simply doing is you're finding the range. So these are the input values, so you're going to find the output values. So what you're going to do is you're just going to plug in. Let's say Andre confirms. Yes, maybe. He hasn't confirmed yet. All right. But we're going to go with this one, Andre. So all you're basically going to do to find the range is you're going to go ahead and plug in all these numbers into this function. So 3 times -6 minus 2 divided by 5. All right, so this is what, a -18 minus 2 divided by 5. That's a, oops, sorry guys. That's a what, a -20 over 2, which, or divided by 5. -20 divided by 5, which is a -4. So my range, first value is -4, right? And then Andre, you're just going to keep on doing. So FYI, next time around, Jay, put parentheses around things. See, that's why as math teachers want you guys to do parentheses. So you put parentheses around that. Therefore, we know this is all in the numerator. But hopefully you can now follow my lead now, and then just plug in all these numbers into this function and simplify. Can you show me how to factor polynomials using distributive property? Yes. There. That was an example right there. I factored out a u. There's many different factoring techniques, so I'm not sure what you are referring to if you're looking for something else, but there is a factoring a polynomial. Well, thank you very much, MXN Go Vision. I greatly appreciate that. You're awesome. Are you using cameras during tests good or bad? I'm assuming you're talking about like the virtual learning kind of thing. Thankfully, my school went back to in-person learning before I had to actually do that. And I think, I don't know. To be honest with you, so I never had to use it. So I know a lot of teachers that did use it in my class did not really care for them because, and the point is if somebody wants to cheat, they're going to cheat, right? It doesn't matter, even in school, it might be a little harder, but if somebody wants to cheat, they're going to cheat. So I think the main issue is kind of dealing with the root cause, like why do people feel like they have to cheat, and that's the bigger issue than, but yeah, I think obviously, having, cameras makes it a little bit harder for the students not to have to cheat, or at least put them a little bit on notice. But again, when you're taking a test not inside the classroom, it's definitely going to be easier to cheat. That's just the reality of it. Put this in Vertex form. All right, you guys are trying to twist my arm. Why not? I got some time. Let's do some math. So, number 7, this is, this could actually not be fun, but whatever. 6x squared plus 12x plus y plus 13 equals 0. Vertex form. Okay, all right, we can do that. Thank you for all you. Brian, I was curious if you had any tips for someone in their first calculus class, just finished learning derivatives. Well, awesome. Yeah, one of the things my calculus teacher told me was like, create cheat sheets. All these new rules you're learning in calculus, all these different, problems, examples that you're learning, because calculus, you'll learn something and then you do like many different variations. Just like create a big cheat sheet for every chapter. You should have a cheat sheet about all the things you learned, and therefore, when you're studying for your test, studying for your exams, you have something to refer to. And that's something that I started doing. I carried that from that course into how I teach my classes. And that's, I end up even giving my students the cheat sheets inside of class, and seeing how they perform from there. I was just curious if you had any, that was the same thing. I'm like, sorry, no worries, Austin. So you saved me throughout these 4 years of high school and I graduate this month. I owe an understanding to math all to you. Well, thank you very much for all those sweet, kind words. I am very happy to be there for you. All right, so let's go and put this into vertex form. So the first thing we're going to want to do is, I think it might be easier actually just to get everything to the other side and then just I'm going to complete the square here. So negative y minus 13. All right, so I'm going to complete the square. I'm actually going to do my old method. So I'm going to factor out a 6, and that's going to be with the next squared plus a 2x. Negative y minus 13. All right, and then completing the square, I'm going to make the middle term divided by 2 and square it. So 6 equals a x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals a negative y minus 13. All right, now again, I added a 1 here on the left-hand side, but you got to add on the right-hand side. And then if you add a 1 on the right-hand side, if you added a 1 on the left-hand side, you multiply by 6. So I add a 1 on the right-hand side, I need to multiply by 6 as well. So then now I can factor that down to an x plus 2. Y squared equals a negative y, and that is going to be a negative 7. Okay, so now I can add the 7 to the other side. And that will leave me with a 6 times x plus 2 quantity squared equals a negative y. And then again, plus 7. And now that equals a negative y. Now let's just get rid of that. So divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. So my final vertex form is y equals a negative 6 times x plus 2 quantity squared minus 7. There you go. Do you have any good trig? Do you have to be good at trig to be good at calculus? No, you don't. But you got to know a lot of trig for doing a lot of calculus. So it is, I mean, obviously there's a lot of math that you can get by without being good at trig, but trig is very necessary for doing a lot of the calculus. So, and I think, it just limits what you're able to do with your calculus. It's kind of like, people are like, do you have to have calculus for physics? Like, no, you can do a lot in physics without calculus, right? But you're just limiting yourselves on what you're able to do and what types of, the types of problems and the complexity. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you go back and do the trig. All right, did I make a mistake? Yeah, you're right. All right, thank you very much. I factored incorrectly. So good catch. Thank you very much for letting me know. I humbly accept I was wrong. Are you famous in your class? I did sign some autographs. Well, I always signed report card, or I always signed yearbooks. But yeah, it was always kind of funny. Signed some autographs, and then I had my school pictures. I signed some autographs on there. So I told kids it was worth a lot of money, but obviously it's not worth any money. But that's okay. We had calculus here, and I don't know how I managed to pass it with high grades. We had calculus here, and I don't know how I managed to pass it with high grades. Well, you passed it with high grades. So if you feel like you mentioned that comment because you don't know what you're doing in calculus or you didn't learn anything, just make sure you maybe say, awesome, I feel like I benefited from this year and getting those good grades, but also recognize that, I got those good grades and I don't know how to do them. Like, people are expecting me to have a certain level of knowledge, from there. So if you're taking Calc 2 or another class that, is assumed that you know your calculus, I'd recommend that you go back through and kind of maybe relearn. Spend some time this summer to really kind of make sure that you have a little bit of a foundation of the stuff that you should be leaving that class with. Oh, you guys ask me for more vertex form. I just see it, so I just go there. The main difference are removable discontinuity and a non-removable. Well, a removable discontinuity is going to be one that can be removed, and a non-removable would be one that would be not removed. So, for instance, if I had x minus 1, let's just do x plus 1 all over x minus 1. Okay, so this has a removable discontinuity at x equals 1. Because let's not use these same numbers. I don't want to confuse people. Actually, let's just do this. X equals 1 is a removable discontinuity. The reason why it's removable discontinuity is because if you were to simplify this, the x minus 1 and the x minus 1 divide out, right? So really, technically, this just gives you x, right, as you go ahead and divide that out. However, if I said x minus 1 all over x, and then I said over here was x plus 7, then you can say x equals negative 7 is a, non-removable discontinuity. And the reason why that's a non-removable discontinuity is because there's nothing you can do to, that looks like a 1, so that's a bad example. That looks like it, there's nothing you can do to simplify this. There's nothing to divide out. So therefore, there you go. There was another question. Yeah, it's still in there. All right, dang it. 0 equals a 3x squared plus 18x minus 16. All right, well, I'm going to complete the square. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little tired, so I'm not going to go in detail with this, but I will explain the process. So the first thing we're going to do is completing the square is factor out a 3. And actually, in this case, forget that. Actually, never mind. Yeah, why is it equal to 0? Vertex form. All right, so if it's going to be, we don't want to equal to 0. That'd be like solving it. Or maybe you are solving it. I don't know. But if I wanted to write this in the vertex form, I want it to be written in the y. And the reason why that's important is because I'm going to divide everything by 3. When I divide everything by 3, if it was 0, I'd just have a 0 to the left-hand side. And maybe we could do it. Maybe I'll show you. Let's put 1 in the vertex form, and then let's solve 1. Maybe I'll do that problem a little bit differently. So this is a 1/3 y, and now this is a x squared plus 6x minus 16/3. Okay, so now another way we complete the square, a little bit different than the way I did it last time, is again, we can, so what do I do? Yeah. So now what you can do is find the value that we want to create a perfect square trinomial for here. So we're going to take 6 divided by 2 and then square it. Okay, so we have a 1/3 y equals, and then we'll do a x squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that's 6x plus 9. But again, remember, if you're going to add 9 on one side, you're going to have to subtract a 9 on the other side. So we have 16/3 and minus 9. Now, I don't really want to, I do not really want to subtract 16/3 minus 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by 3 again. Therefore, that's going to get rid of that. I have a 3. I can simplify this to a x plus 3. Quantity squared, right? That's factor form. The 3 times the 16/3 becomes a negative 16. And then this becomes a negative 27, right? So you're multiplying the 3 times everything. And then therefore you'd have a negative, what, 43? Y equals a 3, x plus 3 squared. And hopefully you guys, math geniuses out there, are confirming that I did that one correct. Hopefully. Well, hello. Melanie's calculus for life sciences, anything like regular calculus. I'm not sure, Melanie. Typically, if you're taking a calculus for another class, like if it's calculus for like calculus for business or what, like it's not, it's much more geared to your own class than I'd probably say to calculus. So they teach you some of the fundamentals of the math of the calculus, but majority of stuff is going to be applied calculus. So it's not going to be as much calculus rigor as you would with a regular calculus class, at least from what I can see or what I have seen. Well, thank you, Wyatt. I greatly appreciate it. That is awesome. It's kind of at the end, Charlie. I do appreciate the end question, and I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to get to it, but it is time. I still do got to go back to school, and again, even through the summer, I always like to do at least an hour. But let me go through this, because if I was going to solve this, I do the same process, right? But I divide by 3, and then I have 0 equals x squared plus a 6x minus a 16/3. Now again, I can complete the square here again. So by completing the square, I get a x squared plus 6x plus 9 minus 9 minus a 16/3. Now in this case, actually, yeah, it wouldn't be that fun, because now I'd actually have to x plus 3 quantity squared minus, let's see, I'd have to a negative 27/3 minus 16/3. So 0 equals x plus 3's quantity squared. Why do I keep on writing equals? Minus, that would be a 43/3. Okay, now if I wanted to go ahead and solve, and again, this would work if you set this equal to 0, you get the same answer. But now you can go ahead and solve for here. You'd add the 4/3, take the square root, and then subtract 3. And again, look what happens over here. If I set this equal to 0, you're going to get the exact same answer, right? So I'm not sure what the student wanted, if there was one form or the other. But if you add 43 divided by 3, you're going to get the exact same component we have here. So, all right. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for staying with me on the live stream tonight. Again, if you're looking for my new channel, those are in the description down below. I hope you guys have a great week. For those of you that still have exams, wish you the absolute best of luck. And for those of you that are looking forward for some more content and information, wait for my channel. I have some more stuff coming for you guys this week and throughout the rest of the weeks. All right, guys. I will talk to you soon. Cheers.